All right, so we're going to move on to a more advanced key. So hopefully that's been a pretty good introduction into the concepts of keying. You've gotten to get your hands dirty and actually go through, and if you can, if you got confused, you can go back and check out the videos or really look in the script and, take it step by step and look at the settings of each node and try to figure it out. That's the best way to learn. But the next set of exercises we're going to go through are more advanced. So we're going to build our tool set even further. If you don't fully feel like you know everything from the last parts, you can always go back and redo it. Again, it takes practice, and it's a lot of little things that build up into one big process. It's a lot of small and easy techniques that build up into a more complex structure. So we're going to learn some more techniques just to add to that tool belt. And so these are some of the ones we're going to go through. So despilling, more advanced methods. We already talked about this first one, the keylite stacking technique. These aren't real names. They're just processes, names I've kind of come up with. Some of them are kind of used by other people, like dynamic despill. We're going to talk about how to despill something when the background color is changing. We're going to go through edge extending. So we're going to go through some scenarios in which it's basically impossible to despill the edge because it's not just a color. We actually have like a texture or something we need to replace in the edge. So this is where it starts to get pretty dirty and pretty difficult with keys, is when we have to start doing edge extensions and also manual edge painting. So semi-transparent edges that might not be over a clean green screen starts to become a little bit more difficult. And some more of the advanced methods that we'll go over with keying, creating a clean screen using some math stuff. So that's a bit different than the clean plate type of thing we were doing before. There's actually a way to sort of mathematically even out different greens on a green screen. We don't need to memorize any particular math. I'll show you guys about that once we get to the lecture. But then we also have other things like, we just use Keylite and IBK primarily and a little bit of Primat in our last one, but we can also incorporate some Luma keys and depending on, what we're dealing with. And we can also mix with more roto shapes, holdouts, and garbage mats. So I'm going to show you a shot that's going to require a lot more roto and Luma keying and combining a bunch of techniques to get a good alpha. So the gamma edge trick, I taught you guys that one, kind of gamming either before or after the pre-mult. The alpha, you can kind of play around with, getting a brighter or darker edge. We're going to talk about add mix, which is another node we haven't covered at all, but it's very similar to this gamma edge trick where you can control if you get a bright or dark edge, basically. Lind log merge to maintain detail. We haven't talked about this, but we'll cover it, and then using channels or mixing channels to get keys that might otherwise be tricky. So that's a bunch of stuff that we're going to go over, and we're going to go over it through a very practical shot, and I would say a pretty realistic scenario, which if you were to get this shot, you're going to, think it's pretty difficult, and that's a lot of times we have to deal with is something like this. So I think it's a good way to learn, and hopefully you guys will get a lot of value out of it. So we'll open up the next project file. So a follow-along exercise on achieving a difficult key, part 5, advanced edges practice. So if you want to open up this project file, we'll do the last part of this Nuke 505 course. And this will be a pretty decent amount of time, I would expect, because we're going to do a full key again. So it should be a pretty good learning experience.